Hello and welcome to the news update on AFRICUNIA television, reaching you from our studio here in the nation's commercial capital, Lagos, Nigeria. And my name is Deborah Ezeh. Looking into the African scene in Nigeria, the Senate yesterday reiterated the need for President Muhammadu Buhari to, as a matter of urgency, declare total war on terrorists. The upper chamber stated this at plenary when it also observed a minute silence for those killed in a recent attack by bandits on Guni, Moura local government area of Niger State, which resulted in a boat mishap. The Senate noted with concern that the criminals engaged in massive killings and wanton destruction of property in Niger State, in particular Nigeria in general. It directed the National Emergency Management Agency to provide relief materials and medical teams to the surviving victims. Meanwhile, the Senate also yesterday extended implementation of the 2021 Appropriation Act from March 31st to May 31st, 2022. The scarcity of diesel affected some of the capital projects captured in the budget, as most of the earth-moving equipment could not be deployed to site. The extension got the upper legislative chamber's approval following the consideration of a bill to amend the 2021 Appropriation Act. The Senate, before considering the bill, suspended Rule 78, subsection 1 of its Standing Orders 2022 as amended to enable it expeditiously introduce and pass the bill. The bill was read yesterday for the first, second and third times after the suspension of Rule 78, Section 1. The Green Chamber noted that almost all businesses and households in Nigeria depend on diesel power generators as an alternative source of electricity. And still in Nigeria, the Economic Community of West African States, Ecowas Commission, is collaborating with the European Union to tackle maritime insecurity along the West African coast. Meeting in Abuja to develop the framework known as the European Union-funded support to West Africa Integrated Maritime Security Project. The gathering, which drew participants from all the ECOWAS member countries, is expected to review and refine modalities on the distribution of essential maritime security equipment across ECOWAS littoral countries. Speaking on the modalities of the meeting, the head of ECOWAS Regional Security Division, Colonel Dieng, observed that maritime insecurity is one of the most persistent and untraceable threats to maritime communities and economic prosperity in the sub-region. Among the ongoing efforts at tackling insecurity along the West African corridor is the EU-funded ECOWAS project tagged SWIMS, a collaborative, complex, multi-component initiative implemented by various partners and covering 15 ECOWAS countries. And in Mali, new accounts have emerged of Malian troops and suspected Russian mercenaries killing about 300 people in a town in its central region. In a statement released on Tuesday, rights groups Human Rights Watch said there had been a deliberate slaughter of the people detained in the central town of Moura. Mali's military admitted on Saturday that it has killed more than 200 militants in a large-scale assault on the terrorist fief of Moura. They also claim to have arrested about 50 militants, but many local and humanitarian sources, both Malian and international, have denounced the killings, calling it an execution of civilians. The United Nations mission in the Sahelian nation, MINUSMA, has said it is still working for authorization from the transitional authorities to launch its fact-finding mission in Moura. And still on the African scene in Niger Republic, 25 Niger migrants, including women and children, abandoned by their driver, were rescued last week in the middle of the desert in northern Niger. The International Organization for Migration announced yesterday. The migrants were rescued in the Sahara Desert by teams of IOM and the Directorate of Civil Protection of Niger, said the UN agency in a Facebook post. The survivors, whose destination was not specified, remained without food and water for 3 days before being found, said the IOM. Now, moving away from that story, on to the foreign scene, Greek workers began a day-long nationwide strike on Wednesday over what they call a deepening crisis of rising prices and squeezed incomes, disrupting transport, ferries, schools, and public hospitals. The country's two biggest labor unions, representing about 2.5 million public and private sector workers, called the general strike expected to culminate in a protest in central Athens. Greece emerged from a decade of financial crisis in 2018, only for coronavirus pandemic to bring global travel to a standstill 2 years later. Now, soaring energy prices, exacerbated by sanctions against Russia since its invasion of Ukraine in February, have further brought a hot workers' pocket. The government has spent about 3.7 billion euros since September to alleviate the burden of soaring energy and fuel costs for farmers, households, and businesses. And in China, Shanghai on Wednesday made some concessions on a widely unpopular child separation COVID policy in a nod to growing public frustration as it extends a citywide lockdown that has left some residents struggling to buy food. The lockdown of China's most popular city, which started in parts of Shanghai 10 days ago and has since been expanded to confine practically all of its 26 million residents at home, has massively disrupted daily life and business. Public criticism over the curbs, part of Benji's elimination strategy, has ranged from complaints over crowded and unsanitary quarantine centers to difficulties in buying food or accessing medical treatment. In the face of such criticism, the Shanghai government said it would relax the policy slightly to allow parents to accompany children if they were also infected. But children will still be separated from parents who were not COVID positive, prompting further complaints. Now, still in the Asia-Pacific, traditional wooden coffins are running short in Hong Kong as authorities scramble to add mortuary space in the global financial hub's battle on COVID-19, which is swamping funeral parlors. Since the fifth wave of coronavirus hit the former British colony this year, it has reported more than 1 million infections and more 8,000 deaths. Seeing the bodies stacked in emergency rooms next to patients have shocked many as places in mortuaries are filled up. China supplies more than 95% of 250 to 300 coffins to Hong Kong each day. It received more than 3,750 coffins during the period from March 14 to 26 after the government of the Chinese ruled city coordinated with mainland authorities. Moving on to the sports scene, the Champions League continues this week after Man City and Liverpool won yesterday. It's Chelsea's turn to take center stage as they bid to reach the semi-finals. The first leg of the quarter-final continues today, with reigning champions Chelsea hosting Real Madrid and Villarreal, taking on Bayern Munich ahead of the second leg next week. Chelsea boss Thomas Tuchel has issued a rallying cry to Chelsea fans ahead of the Champions League first leg tie with Real Madrid. He said that it needs the Stamford Bridge crowd to be better when the 13th-time European champion visits on Wednesday, but accepted that his team is also responsible for providing the spark on the pitch. And finally, Kevin De Bruyne's second-half goal was enough to secure a 1-0 win for Manchester City against Atletico Madrid in the fourth leg of the Champions League quarter-final. In an absorbing tie at the Etihad, Diego Simeone's team held out 70 minutes, but with a folding introduction breakthrough that puts Pep Guardiola's side in charge. Despite a dominant performance, there was no second goal, meaning progress is far from guaranteed ahead of next week's second leg in Madrid. But this was a hard-fought victory. And that's all from us on news updates on AFRICUNIA television. To stay updated to subsequent program bulletins, do follow all our social media platforms on Facebook, Instagram, Jointum, and Pangram in that respective order. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, like, and leave a comment for us on the comment section. Once again, I'm Deborah Ezeh. Many thanks for watching.